Hey guys, Chris Fix here. Today I'm going to show you how to change out your drum shoes. The cool thing is that drum brakes are pretty much similar on most vehicles. I did a drum brake job and I'll put that video up in that corner. You could either click on that video or there's a link in the description. And the drum brakes for that car are a little bit different, but I mean it's the same concept. The main differences are just where the springs are located, but everything else is pretty much similar. So let's get started. We're going to go through a parts list and we're going to go through a tool list right now so you know what you need to fix this. I'm going to use all normal tools, no special tools, so that anybody who gets stuck in their driveway or something could change this. You don't need any special tools. So here are the brake parts that you're going to need. You're going to need your 2 shoes, comes with a clip. You're going to need a brand new adjusting wheel. We're going to do a complete brake renovation. You're also going to need different springs and stuff. It comes in a kit, so you could just ask for the spring kit and adjuster wheel kit for your car. And those are all the parts that we need. Now for the tools, you're just going to need a wire brush to clean off the brakes, needle nose pliers for most of the springs, and a flathead screwdriver. You will also need some brake clean spray, don't forget about that. So everything's pretty much where it's supposed to be, it's just a little mangled. You could see the spring is here, the brake adjuster and the parking brake are connected here, and the adjustment wheel is back there. You can see the other springs connected. Here's where one clip goes, and here's where the other clip goes, which holds the brake pads in. I'm not going to take a picture this time. Last video I said you should take a picture of the top and take a picture of the bottom and see where the springs are. That's for a complicated spring setup. This spring setup only has like 2 springs, which is really easy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay it out on the ground with the new stuff. Since we're laying it out on the floor with all the new parts, what we want to do is try to find things that separate the 2 brake shoes. Here are the 2 brake shoes. So you can see that this brake shoe has this clip here that you're going to put the adjustment wheel clip on. And so that's going to be right here, like that. So we're going to put that down. This brake shoe has the hole here. That's going to have the stud for the emergency brake. So that means that's going to sit like that. And you can see that this edge right here looks like the edge that's in here. And the bottom edge here looks like the bottom edge that fits in here. So that's going to go like that. And this one's going to go like that. And these are on the correct sides. So now we're going to go put these down. So here's the spring. This is the spring on the bottom here. So I'm going to place that on the bottom here, so I know where that goes. You can see that's where the pins, hats, and springs that hold the brake pads in place sit. They go right here. You can see the mark. Hopefully on yours it's not messed up like this. So I mean you would just look and see that's where the piece is. So we'll put those right on there. Like that. Then we have this, which connects that. So we're going to get the adjustment brake kit now, which is in the bag, and start putting that together. So that's going to end up going right over here. So now we have this piece, which is set up like that. And we're going to place that right here. This is set up like this. If you look behind here, you can see that's how that looks. And on the end of this goes this piece. So it looks exactly like that. And that we're going to put right down here. And that's pretty much all the pieces. So you can see this is a very simple setup. We have all the springs laid out in the correct places. We have the setup the same. If you want, you should take a picture of the old brake drums. That'll help you out just in case you mess up. If the worst comes to worst, you look on the other side. The other side is the same thing except reversed. But we have this laid out nice and neat, and you'll be able to put it right back together. This is going to be a simple job. So now we'll start the disassembly. Make sure you're wearing your eye protection because these springs could just fling out. So I got one shoe off. Now this shoe here has the emergency brake connection to it. On the back of here, you can see that there's a clip that you unbend, and this emergency brake arm will pop right off, and then you won't have to undo it from down here. That's what we're gonna do. So you can see this clip right here. Get a screwdriver and just get it in there and turn it. And you can see it's opening up. The clip's garbage, so you're not gonna reuse it. You get new ones with the kit. So don't be afraid to break it. Notice that underneath the clip is a washer. So you wanna put this underneath the new clip that you put in. There we go. And then now, this should come off. There we go. Look at that. Okay, so this is still connected, as you can see. So there's no more extra work to try to get this down here back on. You can see down here how there's a spring here and an end here. This is really hard to get on and off. So since we're keeping this on, we won't have to worry about that. We're going to want to sand this because it is rusty, and we'll just make it look nice and also prevent any binding in the future. Good, everything is off now. Now we're going to go clean this. One thing to keep in mind, I have the old setup with the springs and everything in the right location as well as the new setup. This is just make sure, no double check. So you could be sure that you know where everything goes. The hardest part is knowing where things go. There's nothing difficult about this job. So you're gonna want to take your brake clean and spray it. Then you take a metal wire brush and just go through and clean everything off. There's points on here that you can actually see, they're kind of orange. Here, here, and down here, and then the same thing on the other side, here, here, and then down here. These points you want to make sure you get nice and clean. That's where the brake shoe rubs against this back plate here. Some people like to grease this. I'm not completely sure greasing it is the best idea, because when the brake dust builds up, the grease collects it, and then it doesn't necessarily help with the movement. So I try to clean these really well. It's up to you whether or not you want to grease them. I've had better luck with no grease. What might work better is anti-seize, and that'll prevent the metal from sticking. And you just put the anti-seize only a little bit on here, and also it's not a bad idea to put anti-seize on here. This will prevent your brake drum from sticking. Between sanding and using the wire brush, got everything cleaned out pretty good. I'm actually going to replace this. You don't need to replace these unless if they're leaking. This one isn't leaking, but I just don't feel like dealing with it. It's a $10 piece. Once I put everything back together, this should last another 100,000 miles. The car has 280,000 miles. I'm never going to want to touch this again. But I'll put a link in the description, and I'll also put a video up in the top corner here. Just click on the video if you want to see how to replace these. So next time you see the screen, it's going to have a new one of these. Voila! New brake cylinder. So now we're going to take our parking brake piece and put it on the correct shoe. So this shoe right here. So this is going to end up like that. So what we're going to want to do is first put on your first washer. We'll take our brake shoe, put that on, put another washer, and then take this little C clip here and push that on. Put that on like so. I like to crimp the ends like that. And you can see that it'll fit in right here. Now we're going to secure this with the pin. You can see there's the hole. The pin will go through the hole like that. Find the slot in the pad there. Then you take your spring and your hat. And then now you need a pliers. Get a needle in those pliers. Push it and then turn. Just like that. How this works is the pin here has a head on it that only fits in one direction. So when you push it, the spring pushes down and it fits in. And then you turn the whole spring mechanism and it pulls out and it locks. So now we're going to take our other brake shoe, do the same thing. Take our pin, push it in, put our brake up on here. Get our spring. Get our hat. Obviously, if you have the tool, this is cake. But if you don't have the tool, needle nose pliers works. Just like that. Nice and easy. No special tools required. So now we're just going to make sure that our shoes are sitting in here properly, which they are. And they're also in here properly, which they are. They just slide right in, you can see. And we'll start putting the hardware on, and then we're done. So we have our brake adjuster. It's going to be laid out like this. This bigger gap goes onto the brake shoe, and this smaller gap goes onto this right here. So this fits in just like that, and the spring will be pulling, and then this allows it to open up. So that's how that works. Let's put this on. So this just goes into the brake pad right over here. Leave that. Our adjuster goes on here. Then we'll put our piece on right here. That also slips in down there. So you can see it's on here, and it's also fitting in right in there, and it's also fitting onto the brake shoe itself. And then now all that needs to happen is we pull this spring into that hole, just like the original. Make sure you have eye protection on when you do this. Make sure this is set up good. And I just pull really hard. Just like that. As you can see, that is in there good. The spring's in the right position. It's in the spot here. This is correctly in the brake adjuster, and this is sitting on the start wheel correctly. And to check that, you just take your screwdriver, go in the back. You can see that hole back there. Stick your screwdriver in there, and then turn this wheel here. You want to turn it, and you hear those clicks. Those clicks mean that this adjuster is done correctly. And then this piece right here is sitting right up against the gear, which is correct. So what happens is every time you hit the brakes, or some cars you have to go in reverse and hit the brakes, this will self-adjust and push it out further for when these wear down. So that's how that works. And then now look, one thing left, the spring. And then this spring, very simple. You snake it behind everything here, and you watch it pop out over here. There you go, like that. And then this has to connect right there. And then we're done. There we go. That spring is in. That spring is correctly seated. These are good. That's correctly seated. And that's how you change drum brakes. There we go. So you can see, this is actually set perfectly. You can turn it, and there's a little bit of resistance. That's exactly what you want. So this I don't have to set. If yours doesn't have any resistance, you just go in the back and turn that adjuster wheel with the flathead screwdriver, and it'll become tighter. So we just did a brake overhaul. If you liked the video, click like, helps me out. Also, you could subscribe. I make a ton of how-to videos, and it helps you save money and teaches you some new stuff. I'll also put some videos up here on the screen. You could click those or the link in the description